Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Shatrine Craig, and I'm the Executive Director for the Westland Chamber of Commerce and the Business Recovery Centers with Clackamas County. This morning, we are so excited to welcome Clackamas County and the City of West Linn to share and explore opportunities and sustainability and its benefits for businesses. We'll also be discussing what it means to be leaders in sustainability. This is Alex Mihm. He is from Clackamas County. I want to call it sustainability, but is there a full, huge title, Alex?
Sustainability and Solid Waste Program.
All right, there you have it. Lovely.
It's a mouthful.
And then we have got Jerry Gabrielatos. He is from the City of West Linn, the manager, and we are so thankful that he is here. He actually helped pioneer and get the City of West Linn into the Leaders of Sustainability program. So gentlemen, I am so excited to welcome you. We would love for you to share the programs and what parts you played. And if anybody watching has any questions, we do have a Q&A box. Please feel free to throw those in there and we will answer them as they can fit into the questions and or at the end. All right, take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. So Shatrina, I wonder if you could maybe monitor the Q&A, because when I go to full screen, I'm just going to be staring at my slides and myself, basically.
Absolutely, I've got you.
Okay. Okay. Can you see this is just the cover page? Okay, great. Well, thank you again. My name is Alex Mihm. I'm a sustainability analyst with Clackamas County in the Sustainability and Solid Waste program. But really, that's my title. My real job is kind of more as a green business advisor. I'm also a proud West Linn resident. Repping Wilderness Drive for the past 10 plus years. You have my contact information here, email and phone number, and then also the homepage for our services to businesses. So if there's anything that in this stuff, all the links that'll be shared, you can always just go to clackamas.us/recycling/work, and you can just navigate from there. And why is this not moving? Okay. All right, so what I'll be chatting about today is just do a quick review of our program's free services and resources to businesses. I'll do an overview of our Leaders in Sustainability Certification and Recognition Program, which the city just went through. I've got a slide just talking about some of the benefits for a business to go green, and then I've got time for Q&A. But if you have questions, I'd say just put them on in the chat, because at some point I'm going to explain something poorly, and I'd rather just clarify that in the moment than wait another 10 minutes. And somewhere in here, I'll just ask Jerry to kind of talk about the city's experience of going through Leaders in Sustainability. So first, again, I'll just start with the services that we offer. So our bread and butter service is in really providing education and outreach to help businesses recycle right. I'm on a team at the county of about a dozen that serves businesses and residents and schools and other government agencies. You know, it really is, a lot of it is around waste reduction and recycling, but we do a whole lot more than that. So maybe if you've been at a repair fair, Clackamas County has been involved. If you've been at the public library and seen about the Library of Things, Clackamas County is involved with that. Maybe you've heard about the climate action plan that's in process. So our team at the county, we do a lot of stuff. You know, on behalf of West Linn and other cities, we do a lot of education around recycling right, just to make sure that our recycling streams are as clean as possible, and helping people understand the importance of all 3 R's in reduce, reuse, recycle. But today I'll really focus on our services to businesses. So we offer a lot of technical services, a lot of hands-on and customized work with you all. It's all free. So we can do site visits and a walkthrough. If you have a brick and mortar location, we can do a walkthrough, or even a home-based business. Really, we do a walkthrough. We just kind of look for sustainability opportunities, not just recycling. You know, we have partnerships with other programs like advisors with PGE and the like to maybe help you identify opportunities for upgrading lighting. But we can do site visits. We can do virtual meetings. Really, we just want to be a resource for you. So for a lot of people, when they have a question about something related to sustainability and they aren't sure where to start, they buzz me or someone on our team. And then if it's something that we can answer, we will. If it's something in which there's a better expert, then we'll connect you with it. So you can even just think of us as a sustainability clearinghouse. Sometimes we're a coach, sometimes we're a teammate, sometimes we're a cheerleader, minus the little uniform. But we're definitely we're here to be a resource for you. So, whether it's virtual or in person, we can do recycling trainings. These can be anywhere from 15 minutes, just the basics of what we can put in our curbside bin, all the way up to an hour in which we talk about the importance of reduce and reuse before recycle. For food-based businesses, we can help you get set up with a composting program, train your staff in how to do it right, and just kind of advise you on best practices. If you have a company, you want to start a green team, and you're not really sure where to start, we can walk you through that. The recognition program here that is mentioned is our Leaders in Sustainability, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then, sometimes businesses will have materials that are beyond the curbside recycling that can be recycled, and we can help connect you with outlets for recycling that, or just tell you the best thing is just to send that to the landfill. But also, in Westland, our franchise collector is Westland Refuse and Recycling, and we can, they're a great company. They're an awesome, if there's any collector I would choose, it would be them. But if you ever want to talk about your options in adjusting your service, whether it's your trash or your recycling, we can talk you through some of that pricing as well. And then, like I mentioned, we can connect you with other programs and resources in the region focused on businesses, whether home-based or not. And then, there really is in our region especially, there's a great community of businesses and workplaces that want to share resources and connect with one another. And so we have green business regional gatherings. Those obviously were on pause for a while in COVID, but those are coming back online. And so we want to be able to connect you with the local green business community. So some of our free goodies. You can go to our website. You can print signage now in PDF form, but we can also deliver it to you. So signage is super important to let staff know what can go in the bin. Behavior research has shown that if people aren't sure what can be recycled and they're at work, they will peek in the bin to know, because they assume that if they're not sure, they assume that other people there already know. And once that happens, then it just kind of snowballs. Really, signage and reviewing with staff the basics is the best way to ensure that's done right. We also can offer some free collection containers. As you can see, they're just cardboard boxes. They don't hold up forever. But if you're getting set up and you just need a desk side box or maybe a larger one for a break room or a coffee room, those are available as well, and we can deliver those to you. And again, I'm a Westland resident, so it's nothing for me to swing by either in the morning or on my way home from work. For food businesses, we also offer resources related to food scraps collection, aka composting. So again, free signage always available. We have a limited supply of durable plastic containers for collecting those food scraps. We have Slim Jim style containers. We have these handy square buckets. We can also set you up with a small supply of compostable liners, because if you're a food business, that's a big consideration of cleanliness versus the cost of those. We have some other resources around this, but really we want to make sure that you have the actual materials you need to collect it and set it up. I'll just do this real quick, but speaking of composting and food scraps, you may have heard that the metro region passed a requirement for food businesses like restaurants, grocers, processors, etc., to separate food scraps for collection. It's been an option in our region for several years, but now it's become a requirement. And it was initially going to kick in March of 2020, which is exactly when COVID hit. So we had done a bunch of outreach and a push, and then that happened. So it was on pause. Now it's back. We're doing outreach in the business community to let them know that it's coming. It's on the books now, but you don't run into issues of being out of compliance until, for one, at earliest March of next year. And that's for kind of the larger businesses that could fill basically 4 carts with food waste each week. And then it kind of goes down from there. So the larger businesses are impacted first because that's a good material to capture. And then, business 500 pounds is about 2 carts worth. And then smaller businesses, if they could fill a cart, would be impacted. And we're really looking at over a year from, almost 2 years from now. So we are doing outreach and education on behalf of the cities around this. And so I won't get into specifics, but if you want to talk about this and you want to learn more, whether it's new to you or you've heard something and you just want to get some clarification, just reach out, because we are educating businesses about this basically all day, every day right now.
Thank you for saying that, because that actually was my question. I was thinking of the folks, especially in the restaurant business, coming through COVID. They're still, trying to survive and make it. And I was like, if you guys are offering a way to connect and help them walk through it, thank you. That's beautiful. I'm excited to share that with them.
Yeah. And it's, I think for some businesses, there's maybe a lot of uncertainty around it, or they think it's going to be, it is a new thing to do, but there once upon a time businesses, nobody recycled. And then that became a thing, which is we're just used to that. There's a lot of businesses doing it now. And, there are some considerations that have to go with it. So, you've got carts of food sitting outside, right? There are some things that we can coach you through to kind of make it work well. But what we've typically seen is that once a business starts working on this, for one, that they just kind of get the hang of it, but also that other opportunities open up because you are separating your food waste. And so you kind of, if nothing else, it's a way to get information and data about what your business is doing. And, we're still, I know the city is still kind of ironing out some of the specifics with the collector about rates for a lot of the county. It's available at no additional cost. I know in city of West Linn, that conversation is still ongoing, but for a lot of businesses in the county, it's kind of like recycling, which the only thing that impacts your garbage bill is your actual garbage service. So if you increase your recycling service or decrease it, your bill doesn't change. Similarly, throughout most of the county, that's the case. And I know that, the cities in talk about that, because that's kind of what we've seen is that's pretty key to get businesses on board and kind of going along with it. But either way, if you're a food business, you want to talk about it, even if you just want to gripe about being made to do it, hit me up and I'll try to convince you why it's not so bad. So to shift to what originally brought us here is our green business program, Leaders in Sustainability. So for those of you who haven't heard about it, it's the county's certification/recognition program. We've had it since 2014. There was another version before that. It serves all types of businesses. So we have certified leaders in sustainability with 2 employees. We have them with 500 employees. It's small, independently owned mom and pop places. It's chains. It's, oh, look at that on the left. Gee, the city of West Linn. Imagine that, certified. Yeah, so all types of businesses. We have, our green business directory, which I'll talk about in a bit, has all of them listed, but we tend to have between 45 and 50 certified at any time. We recently made the program a lot more flexible, and we've just released a Spanish version, and we're also kind of making sure to make some adjustments so it can be better tailored towards home-based businesses as well. So we're cautiously optimistic that the number of certified businesses are going to go up. And if you look at the businesses that are certified, there's, it's not just employees that learn about sustainability practices, but we also have retirement communities, property managers, government agencies, in which the green practices that are learned and implemented through this, then people take those things home with them. And so you really see the impacts of and the benefit of going through the employees, for the residents who maybe live in a building or facility that's certified, and then if you think of just the environmental impact of all these businesses that are making these positive changes, it's a great thing. So a little more detail, but I'm sure it's still really hazy. So it's basically a big, long checklist of multiple practices. There's 88 practices in the kind of primary or the main section of the application. And those are broken down into 9 different categories that you see on the screen. It's really just kind of about what are some policies that you could put in place on kind of a more managerial level that will drive sustainability and make it central to decision making in the organization. The good old 3 R's of reduce, reuse, recycle. energy conservation, water conservation, protecting stormwater quality, handling hazardous materials like paints and electronics and cleaners responsibly, green transportation. Added, we have a new section that was added a couple of years ago on equity, diversity, and inclusion. It was just clear that that for one, that we have to incorporate equity into sustainability. We talk about the triple bottom line of sustainability all the time, of planet, people, prosperity. And there's, if your organization internally is not doing things great from an equity standpoint, you're probably not doing so great serving the community or your customers. And so we added a section to that with a lot of really awesome practices that are, again, some of those practices are geared towards larger companies, but some of them are definitely catered towards small organizations. And then lastly, a section on how you engage with your local community, because we want, businesses are a part of the community. You're here for that. We're proud Westlanders. And so how you are engaging with the community is a big piece as well. And I'll talk about this, but to be clear, certification does not mean doing all of those practices. It means that those are your options that you can choose from. And I'll show you a screen in a sec of what that means. So certification essentially requires a few things. One is that you do have to be in compliance with existing environmental regulations. Imagine that. But these are things like we have in our region a business recycling requirement in which businesses have to separate their recycling. You have to do at least one practice in all of those 9 sections that I mentioned before, and also an overall number of them. To reach the basic certified level, you have to do at least 15 practices. To reach silver is 35. To reach gold is 55. But then sustainability is really about a mindset of continuous improvement. And so we require that a goal be set for the future that usually is kind of obtainable within a year. And we check in about how that goal is going and whether we can assist with that. And then the last piece is that you make it official by letting staff know about it. And if you have a system in which you are filing official policies, that you are putting it there. We also provide, when you're done, along with kind of all the other benefits, we also give you a list of those practices that earned you certification, just because it's really handy to have a list of all those different practices rather than just a big long application that's partially filled out. So we're not going to go through this wall of text, but this is just an example of a couple of the pages from the application. So if you look maybe in the green section, reduce, reuse, recycle, number 13, the first one underneath there, it's just talking about using durable dishware, right? So rather than using disposables, that staff are using durable dishware, or that you're using recycled content paper, you're recycling beyond the basics, you're using double-sided printing, things like that. And then under energy, it starts with monitoring your energy use, because you have to track it to be able to monitor it to really know what improvements you're making. But then also things like having LED lighting or smart thermostats, which more and more show that smart thermostats are way better at conserving energy than even a programmable one. And then water conservation, what you might expect of making sure that you don't have leaks and that you have a system for fixing those leaks, that you have low flow fixtures, you're using tap water instead of bottled water, things like that. So again, so if you were just going for the basic certified level, there's other pages as well, and you would just be going, okay, we need to make sure that we're doing 1 in each section and then 15 overall, or 35 or 55. And currently, it's surprisingly the majority of businesses that get certified are getting certified at the gold level. And I think at first glance that made me think, oh wow, businesses are really going beyond. But I think that honestly, the other side of it that we've been talking about is that it probably means that we are missing out on some businesses that, a lot of these things, if you look at them honestly, they're not an option for a lot of home-based businesses. And so, there are a lot of practices that totally are, but I think that, we want to see the numbers of businesses certified at all levels kind of even out a little bit, because that would mean that we're actually working with the small businesses that are such a critical part of our community and that we want to be a resource for. So just if you want to get started, our website is on the first slide and you'll have it again later. But if you want to get started, the application is there. We also have an online guide that walks you through tips and resources for completing all the practices on the application. So if you want to get started, certainly, obviously, find out who needs to be involved. And if you're a sole proprietor, man, you're almost done already. Like, so just figure out who's going to be involved with it. And then you really just want to start with a baseline. And so don't get hung up on, I think, chasing a practice, which strikes you. Just go through the application, check off the ones that you're already doing, see how close you are to some sort of certification level. And then as you've gone through, you probably saw some practices in there that you're kind of sort of doing, or that you've been meaning to do, or that you think would be pretty easy, and just kind of start hacking away at those. And again, we have an online guide that can walk you through that. We're also available as a resource. We're a small team and we're busy, so sometimes it might just be faster for you to start with the website. And if you're hitting a wall, then to hit us up. We want to coach you through it. We've coached at this point hundreds of businesses on it. We're here to be a resource for you. And the online guide, a lot of times, my wife had a home-based business for years, and she did a lot of work at 10 o'clock at night of, getting caught up on stuff. And so I'm not available 10 o'clock at night, but our website sure is. And then lastly, just develop some sort of plan so that you know when you want to complete it by. And after that, I would say, just send it to us. Even if your application is incomplete, just say, hey, here's where we are. Do you have any recommendations of a good path forward? Are there any practices that in your experience you think we should go for? Because, for one, if you're just kind of downloading the application, you're working on it, we don't really know. We're just kind of in a vacuum, and we don't know that, there's this business that I could connect with another one to kind of, give them some resources about it. So some of the perks for getting certified. So you get a custom plaque. The plaques for now are the wood plaques you see here are reserved for the gold or silver levels. We're rethinking that because right now the basic certified level, you get a printed certificate that's framed, but we're rethinking that just because I think it excludes home-based businesses that can't access the full number of practices that a large corporation can. And I think that's unintentionally exclusive to home-based businesses that are doing the best that they can. I think my personal opinion is that everybody should get an award, a plaque, and I'm sure we're going to go that way very soon. But you also get promo by the county. We have a green business directory, which kind of nobody goes to, but it's there. We do advertisements. So we have the county paper or newsletter or whatever form it's in now, in which we promote our recently certified. We advertise in the Green Living Journal. We sometimes do, videos and promos that we do. In the past, a lot of social media by the county that's picking up again. In the time of COVID, a lot of social media that wasn't related to business resources got paused, but those are coming back online. We give you some resources and tips on how you can market it yourself, because that's the biggest thing. Yes, the county can say huzzah and kudos, but really it's how you turn around and share that message with your customers and your employees. That's the biggest benefit. So we want to make sure that you don't have to rethink how to, put out a social media post saying, hey, I got certified. And then we have regional green business gatherings, which I mentioned. You don't have to be certified to go to those, but definitely a lot of the businesses that go through this program, I think they just feel connected to other businesses that have been working on this. And so we invite businesses to those. And then most importantly is that once you've gone through it, hopefully you've learned some things, and we've taught you kind of the things to focus on, and the small stuff that's not worth sweating, the practices that make a big difference, and that you've developed a customized path with us for you to reach certification, and that you have made the improvements that mean the most to you and to your employees and to your customers.
Alex, could I ask a quick question about, so in the leaders of sustainability, I see it's a long-term plan. Once you get certified, do you touch base with them kind of every year to see how they're doing and how to move up? Like, how does that work?
Great question. Yeah, we like to stay in touch. I mean, sometimes there's some businesses that are certified that, that we're in touch with every month. And then there's some in which they get certified and then we kind of don't really hear from them. So we do follow up. That's a part of certification. Again, we want to be a resource for you. We want feedback on the program or how it's going. And sometimes, people just need some help. And if you don't reach out to them and say, hey, is there anything that you need or anything that you're running into, they're not going to, everybody's just so busy that if it's not in front of you, you're not always going to pursue it. So we do some follow-up, and then certification is good for 3 years. And after that, the first time that you go through certification, you kind of go through the ringer a little bit more, because usually we've worked with the business either just a little bit or sometimes not at all. And so we just, the verification process, which I forgot to talk about here, but I can talk about that a little bit. The verification process is just, it's more intensive the first time around. But once you've gotten certified, it's pretty rare that a business just lets everything go. I have seen that, but for the most part, if a business has adopted some green practices, usually 3 years from then, they're still in place. Maybe they kind of need to circle back and reinforce it and shore it up a little bit. But generally speaking, the recertification is a lot easier. But if I could just talk about it for a second, the certification process is, again, send in your application when you're ready, and then we can do verification meetings either virtually or in person, whatever you prefer. And we just kind of, I'll use the word audit, but it's not a scary audit, in which we just kind of pick some practices and we verify. So there's some that it's just, that we trust and it's fine. But there's some things in which, especially around policies, a lot of you will know, for a home-based business, you might have a policy that exists in your head. And realistically, for most home-based businesses, that's enough. It doesn't, if you're a sole proprietor, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to have a binder with your official policies, because it's only for you. You're never going to refer to it. And so, we talk through why you check off the practices, and then we basically say, cool, great, or you're on the right track, maybe do this, and we'll talk, and we'll follow up. And then sometimes you say that's not in line with the intent of the practice, and we just remove it. But then, but usually we're just kind of verifying and we're talking through. And then after that, there's always, it's really rare that there's not some degree of follow-up, in which we're kind of, okay, let us know when you've done X, Y, and Z, and I provide additional resources just so you have a clear path forward. And then after that, when we've done all the verification, we order the award, we do a little congratulatory presentation. Those things can be in person or virtual. I have some businesses that say they don't want a presentation, which is, it's fine by me, but I like practicing my lousy jokes. Yeah, and then we kind of move on to the promo. So it looks like there's maybe a question in the chat now.
Robin's just joining us. Thank you, Robin. This will be recorded, so we will be sharing this out so you haven't missed any information. But Robin's one of the businesses that is excited about becoming a leader in sustainability. So we're excited. Awesome. She's here too.
Yeah. Reach out. So, Jerry, I've rambled a lot. Do you want to ramble a little bit about the city's experience of going through it? So just to kind of tee it up, the city of Westland has been interested in working on leaders in sustainability for a number of years. But when Jerry came on board, he put a really great emphasis on utilizing it as, it's an existing program. It's an existing framework. I'm not gonna take the words out of his mouth, but and so with Jerry and Jeremiah Kirk and others at the city, earlier this year, we finalized certification at 5 locations of the city. So City Hall, the library, police station, the
operations.
There we go. And there's a 5th one that I'm forgetting now.
The adult community center.
Yes, the adult community center. So, and 4 of those locations were certified at the gold level and 1 at silver. And I was appreciative that near the end of the process, I basically, we had maybe, I think 2 that were at the gold level and 3 that are at the silver level. And I said, well, here we are, we can move forward now. Do you want to just move forward with 2 at gold and 3 at silver, or do you want to do X, Y, and Z to reach gold? And Jerry called me and said, no, let's do this right. Let's go for gold. And got to add some additional practices with his direction. So as a Westland resident and as someone who served on the Westland Sustainability Advisory Board for several years and has been kind of nudging the city in this, it was a very proud moment. It's a big lift when you have so many locations and in a complicated organization, but it was definitely a really proud moment for me as a Westland resident. So I'm tired of the sound of my voice. Jerry, do you want to?
Yeah,
you want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Alex. And thanks, Shatreen, for hosting this. Like Alex had mentioned, this was enrolling in this program was at the suggestion of the Sustainability Advisory Board. I see Kim Bria in the crowd. Kim's a member of our group, our co-chair. And I want to comment about a couple of things that Alex had brought up. First, the practices are not just about sustainability, but I think just good practices that any organization should adopt. After reading the whole guide, I remember peeling off sections of it and talking to our HR director and just asking like, well, we should do this, like, just because I think we should be doing it. So it's about more than just being green. And I think it's a really smartly designed public policy program. One of the things I want to shout about is I think Alex had told me that we're the only city in Clackamas County in which every one of our buildings is in the program. So I'm proud of that. And then, Alex, you'd mentioned like you come in to audit buildings, but I want to be clear. He's there to help. He's there to help you get across the finish line. He's there to make sure that you can complete what's being asked and to provide suggestions and advice about how to complete it. And so he's an asset, and I'm grateful for his work. I don't have too much to add other than to say that I hope other organizations adopt this, whether it be a home-based business or a brick and mortar. But I think there's plenty of things that can be read, and we're here to help too. If you have questions, reach out to the city. That's all I had.
Perfect. You gave me a chance to gulp down some water. Yeah, I mean, Jerry just said that, but yeah, I'm just here to be a resource. I'm passionate and excited about this stuff. My favorite part of this job is just being out in the community and serving businesses. And I'm fortunate to be on a team in which, there aren't a lot of jerks who get into the sustainability field, I have found. Whether you think it's the greatest thing or it's a little wishy-washy, fine. But the people who work in it, I think, are just really kind and really put service first. And Westland is a unique, and it's a special place. I mean, like, we live, I'm looking out my window at a bunch of really big trees, and there's green space all around me. I mean, Westland and sustainability and our connection to our planet it's really intertwined, and I think the business community here is totally a part of that. So we want to make sure that we're serving business here, no matter your type or your size. We have something for you, whether it's me or our business team, or whether it's even just on the residential side. We want to help you achieve your sustainability goals. So last little bit I'll talk about are some of the benefits of prioritizing sustainability. If my screen will move, there we go. Okay, no, hold on, there we go. Okay, more boring words, but this is important stuff. So obviously, if you're talking about sustainability, it's a great place to start at looking at the ways that you use materials and where there are opportunities to reduce waste. And so recycling is a good thing to do. It's probably like the one really good gateway drug out there, because once you get passionate about recycling, you start looking for other opportunities to be green. And so, like I mentioned, we can coach you to make sure that you're making the most of your recycling services and that you know how to responsibly dispose of other materials. But also, like I mentioned, we want to help you conserve energy, water, and other resources as well. So if you prioritize sustainability, you are inherently just going to operate more efficiently. And the lens that you achieve by kind of going through this stuff, you just start looking at things from the angle of how can this be more efficient or better, or how can we, I mean, for some organizations, that's as simple as going from paper to paperless, but I think there's a lot more to it than just that. Secondly, is that we've heard over and over again from businesses that are doing it because of competitive advantages. So these days, more and more customers care about buying from sustainability minded businesses. I know I'm not the only one who, when I go to a business, I look for some sort of sustainability on the website, or want to hear about it when I go there. But it's the majority of customers would want to choose a business and support a business that is prioritizing sustainability. Of course, some people, they don't care, but there's, if nothing else, you only have opportunity and benefit of expanding your customer reach with this stuff. It's not too often that a customer would say, "Oh, I was going to support this business until I found out that they compost." That doesn't happen, but people do care the other way around. They care about businesses that do green things, and they are loyal to those businesses. We see more and more that people are choosing who they buy from based on the values of that business. Secondly, it's a really great thing for employee recruitment and retention, and just keeping your staff involved and committed to the work. We've had conversations with businesses that are, of all types, in which they care about it, but it's not necessarily woven into the company culture. But then they realize that, we're losing out on a really important sector of people that we could be hiring, and we're losing out to other businesses that have a sustainability mission and that it's just kind of tied into what the company does. And people want to work more than ever. People don't just want to go to work, clock in, and go home. And that's not just, as much as I want to rip on millennials and Gen whatever run now, Gen Z, or I don't even know who we are now. People care about this stuff, and they want to work for an organization that values important stuff like sustainability. And again, you can use sustainability to engage your employees, whether it's Earth Day, we're going to do an event, or whether it's starting a green team, or just an educational series in which people get together and read or watch stuff about sustainability topics. And then, of course, you get some good positive publicity from either going through the certification or just the ways that you promote it. And as I mentioned before, you get connected with a business community that have like-minded goals. And so there's a lot of times in which manufacturers that I know who are, they're technically in direct competition with one another, but the people who work on sustainability at those places aren't, and they only benefit those two companies by sharing ideas and connecting. And oftentimes, if it comes to something like, if there was a material that a business had a lot of that, let's just say it's styrofoam, which there's maybe issues with recycling styrofoam, but let's just say it's styrofoam. Then you have some, and then the business next door has some. And if you each are separately going somewhere to recycle that stuff, that's a waste of fuel, and you're offsetting the benefit of recycling that styrofoam with just your gas use. But if you're pulling it together, you've got a big volume of it, you can bring it somewhere, and then it actually is a win-win. So we want to connect you with other businesses. We've seen businesses working on certification who get hung up on something, and they ask me for a tip, and I say, I could help you, but the best person for this is Brian. So we connect businesses with one another all the time. It's not always about just cutthroat competition. It really is, these are people that want to do the right thing beyond just business as usual. And then lastly, when you're doing things right, you're a benefit to your local community, which sounds, I'm always skeptical of things like that, but it really is true. You're demonstrating what it is, like what businesses can do, and people bring those things home. People, they want to support businesses that do these things, like I mentioned, but also when you are operating more efficiently, you are lessening your environmental impact. And when you are more engaged with your community, when you have shored up your equity practices, you're only adding value to the local community, and they want to support businesses that do that. Okay. I am ready. This cat is way cuter than me, but I have better answers, I think. So, so with that, I'm happy to get to some Q&A.
I have a couple, actually. So I've got Martin said, is there a facility in the county that is able to recycle PLA?
Can you clarify this is probably an obvious question, what PLA is?
It was just written in there. Martin, do you think you could type that in really quick for us? And while you do that, I actually have a question from Kim Bria. She was talking about mentioning how the city's green energy commitment helped in the certification, or how that played a part. And then also how we can highlight that for all businesses, they can choose that from PGE. Can you explain something, how we could do that? What does that look like for businesses and all that good stuff?
Sure.
Thank
So
you.
what Kim is referring to is that the city purchases renewable power through PGE. It's their Clean Wind program, I believe is what it's called. That was something that the Sustainability Advisory Board had worked on and advocated for a number of years. And so there is a practice on the application about the business purchasing renewable power. You know, the police station also has solar panels on it. There's another practice for that. And so whether you're a home-based, you know, you've probably seen the stickers, or if you've ever been at Market of Choice and there's a young person outside of the table saying, "Excuse me, do you buy green power?" You know, like that's what they're talking about, is buying renewable power through PGE. You know, our energy grid out here is greener than most in the country, but the single biggest source of our power is still coal, which is a gnarly in a number of ways. And so when you participate in PGE's Clean Wind program, you are driving demand for renewable power. So they buy, if you pay for that, it isn't like they can direct, okay, these electrons are coming from, okay, that. Thank you, Martin. I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, so you can't just select, okay, the wind is coming from this wind turbine, it's going to go right to your house. But what PGE has to do is that when people pay for that stuff, they are obligated by law to then go out and source that renewable power, and therefore you are driving demand for wind turbines, for solar. It includes hydropower is kind of dicey just because of what dams do, but there are clean wind programs for residents and for businesses, and then also even Northwest Natural has a program which I believe is about capturing the methane from cows mostly, which, hey, maybe my 3-year-old son, who's in that phase of that's all very funny, could also be involved as well. So, but yes, thank you, Kim, for pointing that out. I mean, the Sustainability Advisory Board was instrumental in getting it done. And yeah, from a climate perspective, purchasing renewable power is a big deal. It's the biggest thing that we can do from a climate perspective. So, Martin, there is not a facility that takes bioplastics. So but there's been a lot of research going on, and it's debated research about the benefits or perceived benefits, or maybe even the problems with bioplastics. So currently, if you're a business that has a composting program, or even in cities that have residential composting in which it's food waste mixed with yard debris, those bioplastics cannot go in the compost because they break down at a much slower rate than what the compost facilities can handle. And food waste collected from businesses is typically used in an anaerobic digester to generate alternative energy. And similarly, in that system, those bioplastics actually impede the process. Now, the research I was talking about that's kind of debated is that a lot of studies show that compostable plastics actually have a higher environmental impact than even a single-use plastic. The makers of those materials debate that. There are some cities and regions that take it. There's nowhere in the Portland metro region that accepts this. That's only garbage. And another issue with that is if you send bioplastics to the landfill, they're organic material, right? They were made from plants. And so they break down in a landfill, which really means that they ultimately release methane, which is a really intense greenhouse gas. And even though our landfills do a pretty good job of methane capture, so if you look at the life cycle impacts of a bioplastic, if you look at the fact that, let's say it's corn. That corn was grown to make that, but that corn also required fertilizer, required machinery to process, it required water. There's a lot of inputs environmentally into growing that corn, and then that stuff has to be turned into this other resin, and then ultimately it breaks down if it goes to where it's supposed to go in a landfill. But it's even for pollution prevention in the ocean. Bioplastics are not designed to break down in an ocean, and so it's, even if there's a random situation in which a bio-based plastic cup made its way into the ocean, it may as well be plastic. So, long rambling answer is that I'm sorry, there is no place for it. The research does seem to show that it is actually worse than a single-use plastic, so long as you put it where it's supposed to go. And if you're going to spend money on those things, you might be better off putting that money towards something else, like energy conservation. And these are the things that we talk about. I mean, Jerry had to listen to me talking about this stuff with 2 nights ago, and Kim too. So it's, but I can go on and on and on. Just be wary. I get really excited about nerdy stuff like this. Martin, Martin, why don't we talk afterwards, Martin? But yeah, we talked about this the other night. Surprisingly, single-use plastic stuff tends to have a lower environmental impact than other options. So paper versus plastic. I mean, even like the debate of a single-use plastic bag versus paper. I mean, we passed a bill banning plastic bags for a number of reasons of how those plastic bags are a huge problem in our recycling system. As litter, they're really bad. They're problems as local litter. They're problems at landfills. But all things being equal, plastic cups and the like are really lightweight. They require a lot less even oil, like petroleum product, to make compared to even a paper one or those bio ones. So this is something that Kim and I were just kind of emailing about a few days ago, even, that it sounds crazy, but if you're going to give somebody a disposable thing, if it's like there is no best single use. It's just the best thing is durable. But the thing is that at you as a food truck, overwhelmingly, your biggest impacts are in the food that you make, how it's cooked, and the like. The packaging that you use it's not inconsequential, but it is a drop in a drop in a drop of the bucket of the environmental impact. So if you want to do the right thing environmentally, I would honestly say it sounds crazy, but single-use plastic is a lot of times your best bet. But there are some things that we can talk about. So you have my contact information available through this. Like I said, just be careful because we're going to get nerdy, but I am more than happy to talk about it, or just to come find your food truck sometime.
These are such great conversations. I love this. And I feel like, Alex, you get all these random questions. And so I love it, because our hope with this whole presentation was, again, connecting and allowing businesses to see where they might fit, be that big or small, and be able to actually realize that you're a resource and they can come and ask and just get started. Because, we would love to see the Westland community have this be a priority and a discussion that can come in to where every business would be excited to say, oh yeah, did you go for this? Have you tried this? And then they can communicate and network, just make it a great community effort. I think it'd be wonderful. Oh, well, thank you so much, Alex. I think those are all the questions we've got, but this has been wonderful. Jerry, thank you so much for your time, your work with the city. This is so exciting. Oh, I was going to ask, I think you mentioned Robinwood Station. Are they working on sustainability too? Are the leaders in sustainability?
They were certified a few years ago, and they're up for recertification. Obviously, they are in the process of, I don't know where they are in their renovation project. Yes. But I think that's kind of that. After that, then we'll circle back. And Lisa Clifton, who was volunteer extraordinaire, was a teammate of mine at the county for a long time, and so she was kind of leading that. But yeah, I'm sure they'll get recertified as well. But they were, as Jerry mentioned, I mean, that was the first city facility to get certified. But even if you look at historically who's been certified in our program from a government perspective, Lake Oswego's new swanky city hall got certified last year. The program, or the larger department that I'm in at the county is certified. City of Happy Valley was certified several years ago, but it fell off. There's, Westland having 5 facilities, which it was a complicated project. I had spreadsheets of who's doing what, and there was a lot of kind of circling back to things. That's not a small lift. And I think that I hope that people recognize that it's not a gimme. It's not a bunch of smiley glad in which we're just congratulating the city for doing what they're already doing or what they already were doing. It's a great thing, and it's a really big accomplishment.
That's fantastic. Really quick, Alex, I know we'll be heading out very soon, but could you jump to the first slide so folks can see your email? And thank you, Jerry, for putting in that information. I see you got that. Phone
Yes,
numbers
and
and
I
everything.
have it. I think the last slide.
Oh, perfect. See,
There we go.
all together. Yes, I love it.
Yes. So again, if nothing else, just go to clackamas.us/recycling/work, because from there, if you want to just learn about recycling, you can click through there. If you want to learn about leaders in sustainability, click through there. Composting, it has our general contact information as well. So even if you forget who's that big bald guy with the weird last name, you can always just email the general business email and it'll make its way to me. And then that's my work cell as well. So if it's easier for you to text me on there, that's cool too. I like having a work cell instead of a personal one because I don't get texts about recycling at 5 in the morning.
Oh, this is great. And then, so what I'll do when we share this out to everyone, we'll have this available. We'll have Alex's information, and then I'll also put links like this to the actual page. And then I believe the city of Westland also has their recycling and sustainability page. So I'll make sure that is on this link as well, so we can connect and get everybody connected. And I thank you so much for this time. This has been a fantastic way to learn some new things. And I love it. Again, it's a resource. It's not an audit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that you're going to come in and actually say, hey, here's some opportunities, and be able to finish out and make some amazing things happen for our community. So thank you for your work and your time. And Jerry, thank you for your time and your work. I hope you have a fabulous day.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Take care.
Bye.